I tried putting Streamlabs onto the Zorin OS PC. Um,
As
I
if
think it might. I think it might work.
okay.
It does run the web version,
All
but
right.
it won't run the full desktop version. But there is. Oh, here we are. We're on YouTube. Okay, good. Um, but it does have
But
Windows emulation, so we gotta
um
figure that one out.
mm, it, an emulator it may work. Um but it may all just depend on
Doggy.
I think so. Hang on.
Okay, no problem.
I got a tiny four-legged terror. Let me go ahead and
No, no, no.
start the
Doggy's getting
show
the right
real
away.
quick and
Doggy,
get the
doggy's got the right away.
got the got the radio going. So for
Hmm.
everybody just tuning in and watching. So I have to take a quick second
Okay.
because my dog is starting some drama.
Okie dokie.
And now with that done, let's get this show on the road. So, you're here. It's Tuesday. It's Tech Tuesday. And you're here with us. We are the Help Desk. And we're here to help you. I'm your host. I am Gilbert, the Angry IT Nerd. And I am with the best co-host in all of the internets. This is George, a.k.a. Techno George. George, say hello to the people, man. Tell them everybody how you doing.
I'm able to breathe now because Model Citizen was a real, yeah, it was real, like a real doozy when you can't breathe for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I can breathe now, so I'm gonna be
That's
sniffling, but I can still breathe. But thank you very much.
that's glad to hear it, man.
It's always
So-
nice to be breathing. So
It's it's good to know that your lungs are still working. So hey,
Yep.
that's great news.
COVID, I know COVID just killed my system. So
Oh yeah, yeah. It will do that. It will definitely do that.
yeah.
Um. So I saw something earlier. I saw a notification, or where was it? I believe I saw an article that for anybody that uses WordPress in developing your websites, there's a plugin that is vulnerable. That has been used to kind of exploit your sites. And let's see if I can find it because I literally just saw it. And but needless to say, once I find it, I'll let you know exactly what plugin it is. But regardless of anything, always if you use WordPress, keep it updated, keep all your plugins updated, all your security sites updated. You know, get all those extra plugins for security. Make sure that it never hurts to be that little extra layer of security. Never hurts. So tip for the day: keep your updated, please,
Well,
because
um, I found a well. It says types of plugin vulnerabilities for WordPress. He tried to say.
mm-hmm,
SQL injection. Attackers exploit vulnerabilities in plugin code to inject malicious SQL
Mhm.
queries, potentially gaining unauthorized database access. There's
Yes.
also cross. I can't talk today. Blah, blah, blah. Cross-site scripting. It's XSS. Malicious scripts injected through plugin vulnerabilities can compromise user sessions, deface websites, and steal data. Oh, what Doge is doing. And then
Yes.
cross-site request forgery. Attackers trick users into unknowingly executing actions they didn't intend, like changing passwords or transferring funds through exploited plugin weaknesses. Broken access control
Mhm.
plugins might not adequately restrict access to certain features or data, allowing unauthorized users to perform actions or view information they shouldn't. Doge. And let's see, file
Mhm.
inclusion. Attackers can exploit vulnerabilities to include malicious files, potentially gaining access to sensitive data or executing arbitrary code. And the only other one I've seen is PHP object injection. Improperly sanitized input passed to PHP functions can lead to various malicious actions like code injection or denial of service. So yeah, I've seen the PHP object
Mhm.
injection. I've seen it on a Hack 5. So
Yeah.
those are some of the vulnerabilities of the WordPress plugins, especially if you have a WordPress site where you monetize the site. Like if people are giving you money, you could be
Mhm.
vulnerable to having those scripts
Essentially.
attacked where your money goes out of your account. You think you have all this money, and all
Yeah.
of a sudden,
It's
like you
being
look and you're like,
yeah,
yeah,
because somebody has, you know, slipped a malicious script into your site, and every sale that you make, that money is being diverted to the scammer.
right,
So,
right. Or they have
mhm.
your passwords um for your site, and maybe they're waiting until like 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning when you're sleeping, and then they're actually getting into the site,
Yeah, and
seeing what they
then
can do.
mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so it's all of those and all of those possibilities, and you know, pretty much anything
one
else, anything that they can get their hands on, anything that they can control, anything that they could just take, they will.
one of the things you can do really to safeguard yourself is create like a virtual machine, like a
Hmm.
VMware. We did that back in Intel, in like my old Intel days. We actually had a VM, like a virtual machine that we
Hmm.
created. So it looked like the website for Intel, and you thought you were gaining access to it. We actually had a couple of hackers try to get into the machine one time, and I'm like, okay, how deep is this guy gonna get in? And we were just watching the activity, and I'm like going,
Hmm.
okay, he did this, he did this, he did this. He stayed on the line, and then
Right.
we could see what he was doing in the virtual machine
Hmm.
environment. He wasn't real like he was on the computer, but he was in a virtual machine environment.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
um he thought he was gaining access to the
To
database,
yeah.
but he wasn't. it, so what we basically did was we created two
Hmm.
drives, one for I guess for a virtual machine environment. We cloned the drives. We took out all the most pertinent or important information, but we kept something like to whet their appetite. So they got in, they were able to see like stuff, and they
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, we're gonna grab all this stuff from Intel, and we're gonna grab all this stuff." And it was just a, you know,
Oh, you set up a honeypot.
right,
Yeah, yeah.
right, right, right. We set up a honeypot, and then, you know, they just got in, and like my boss is just sitting there, and we're laughing at this guy, like going, he's getting in. He thinks oh
He
yeah, he's
thinks he's
gonna
getting into
download this.
hacking
He's gonna
something.
download this, and
Mm-hmm.
we are. My boss wrote a script. The guy, well, I was in charge of the lab, like like all the physical attributes of the lab, but the software was this other software guy. He created a script where if a hacker got in, the script secretly infected his computer. And then once he got off the line, the script told the hacker computer to call us back and give us all the information on him. And then, and I was like, that's pretty cool. He goes, oh, yeah, we could do that. Okay, that's all right. Let's
You
do
say,
it.
hey, all right.
Like 10 o'clock at night, I'm still in my lab, and
Mm-hmm.
and this guy is there, and he goes,
Hey.
check this out. He's goes, he goes, his computer's going to call the server, and he goes 10:01, and you're and then you hear the whole thing, and you get the handshake, and like, yep, he called the computer. Okay, here it is. So yeah.
Now that's funny. That is funny. And I'm sure the guy, whoever it was that was hacking them, thought they were getting somewhere. They was doing something.
Yeah.
They were getting something, and then found out they got jack diddly squat.
There was a game back in the day, back in the 90s, called You Don't Know Jack. It was
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah, this guy just does not know Jack.
Oh god. Yeah, I remember that game. You don't know Jack. uh, but
I did not see any Flipper Zero news or Flipper One news. Um, I think it was Flipper One, Flipper Zero.
but
Um,
but oh yeah, without a shadow of doubt, I'm getting a Flipper Zero. I'm getting that mofo. I'm getting that. Uh I'm still waiting. I'm still holding on to a little bit of a prayer that just before I order it, that it's gonna drop at least like $20. I'm just hoping. I mean, it's still gonna get it. I'm just hoping.
they just released the tech specs for Flipper One. It has a second Wi-Fi Bluetooth chip, 5 gigahertz. Um, the network layer is 802.11 AC. Has a low power MCU, operates when Raspberry Pi is powered off. It basically is like a Raspberry Pi, but it has a vibration motor for silent notifications, directional pad. Um, it's a single board ARM computer, ARM, 1 gigahertz CPU, 512 megs of RAM. It has a sub 1 gigahertz transceiver array. Um, that's for when you're scanning, I guess, anything, like RFID chips.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of like an RFID
Okay.
chip reader. So if your cat or your dog has a chip, you
Mm-hmm.
can actually read it with the Flipper and the Flipper Zero.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
it has a 1600 milliamp lithium battery, has 6 hours of battery life for Raspberry Pi mode, 30 days, and the Tamagotchi mode. USB port, and it has a PN 532 NFC chip. So it's
No.
a reader writer emulator. So you
Okay.
can actually, read the NFC,
Mm-hmm.
tags like the
Okay.
Apple tags. iButton contact, one wire reader writer emulator, and a 13.5 megahertz NFC antenna. So that's Flipper one. I think Flipper Zero has basically the same stuff, except it doesn't have um it doesn't have the Wi-Fi um Bluetooth module on it.
Okay.
It has what's known as a breakout board on top. It's like a series of holes on the top, and then you can actually just there's another there's like another, I guess, some accessory that plugs into the top, makes it a little
Mm-hmm.
bit bigger.
Okay.
But that's Flipper one. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool to be able to.
Yeah. I mean, even just to see what it can do. See what all it can do, and not just on just any kind of anything. Do anything wrong or anything. Petty or malicious or anything like that. Just curious, just to see what it can do. You know, what all can it? You know, what all can it do?
I'm gonna be
We
a
know.
menace. I mean, I remember you go, I'm gonna be a menace when I get this thing.
Oh, I still
Okay.
am. I am. I mean,
Oh
I'm just
yeah,
saying. Oh, without
dude.
a doubt, I'm gonna be a menace. I'm straight up. That's not changing. That's not changing at all. That's never gonna change. Listen, what I'm just saying is that just out of pure curiosity standpoint, you
Yeah, just to
would just
see.
want to know
Yeah,
just to see what it can do.
yeah,
So and again, it's just stuff like that. It's just to me, it's just curious. It's just really cool. It's just fascinating. It just is,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, I was amazed when when I got my iPhone. Um, there, there's a there is an application called Net Analyzer. So
Mm-hmm.
you can actually analyze wireless networks with it. So if you were able to get onto the network, you can scan the network with this Net Analyzer app. And what it'll do is it'll find every single MAC address on that network. So if, like if I'm at the doctor's office or whatever, I could
Mm-hmm.
scan like, it would scan, all 5,000 computers, iPhones, Android phones, tablets, printers that are on the network.
Okay.
It scans everything and it finds all those MAC addresses. And I was like, but it was just an analyzer. I really couldn't do any type of, you know, like penetration testing. I couldn't,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I mean, I could take those MAC addresses and I could put those MAC addresses into a laptop if I had a laptop. But I want to be able to do it from the phone. I want the phone to be,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean,
like
something that you could,
inconspicuous. Yeah, yeah, something that,
mobile.
was inconspicuous.
Yeah.
It did help out a lot when I was at work, like when I was at Sanofi Pasteur, when I worked there, where I could use the phone to get to the wireless network and I could do a trace route through the IP address. So if I had a printer that was on the network, but it wasn't sending any information, I could send it from my phone. I could put the
Mm-hmm.
IP address in. I can hit send. It would send it through the network, through the wireless network, and I could get a reply. And it would say, like when you put like I think it's, what was it? I forgot what the command is in Windows. If you go to the run prompt and you type in CMD for command prompt, you get the command prompt. In
Mm-hmm.
the command prompt line, you would type in, it's not ipconfig, it's ping. Ping it's called.
Okay.
So you would actually ping that IP address on the network. If that IP address came back and said reply, it means that IP address is in the network stack, and it came back okay. Okay, you could do the same thing on the phone. Like I could send a ping and ping something, and it would, but I would have to know what the IP address is.
Okay.
Uh, the net analyzer allows me to do that. I could scan the network as well. So like when you're in a particular store, like if you're in Best Buy or something like that, and you have to get onto their Wi-Fi in order for your phone not to die and use um, your cellular Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
you would use
So.
their Wi-Fi,
Mm-hmm.
usually very slow. When we're in the giant food store, my wife goes, will you tell them to reset that damn router? Because the damn thing is so damn slow. And I'm like going, hey, if I worked up, she goes, she said to me once, she said, why don't you get a job here so you can just walk upstairs and unplug the router and plug it back in because it's
It's like
just
hit that
not
reset
working.
because it's so damn slow.
The app is just not working. I was like, well, it's their, you know,
It's like it's the bandwidth and how
oh
many
yeah,
people are using it right now. So I mean, we're not the only ones that's in the store.
well, the store has uh the uh, the the APs, the access points in the store.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 9 of them, and that should be enough coverage for everything. They're, on the rafters in the metal. And I'm saying to myself, maybe the metal is, playing with, maybe it's absorbing the signal. And I said to myself, I said, it can't be. It just can't be. So
Right.
I scanned I scanned the thing with the network analyzer. And I was like, there's plenty of bandwidth. All they have to do is just unplug the damn thing. I just wanted to go to the desk and go, dude,
They
unplug the
just unplug
router
the
and
router.
plug it back in. Just like reset it.
They just unplug it, count to 10, plug it back in. Don't touch it, and just leave it
not,
on.
they're
That's all you
they're
got to
not
do.
no, they're not gonna do it. And just not gonna do it.
They just unplug
My
it, count to 10, plug it back in.
my my wife is a stickler about that. She's like going, can't you say something to them? You're on the help desk. And I was like, yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. I'm on the
Right.
help desk. Yeah. That and a nickel won't even get me a cup of coffee. So yeah, I'm not gonna, no.
Right. I mean, it's not like you expect that, you're gonna have a flipper zero and then all of a sudden you're gonna hack into
Oh,
the
well,
hack into the network. You're like, okay, I'm
if I
in.
had a flipper
And then
zero,
now
if I had a flipper zero, I could
said check
probably
Wi-Fi
take
now.
over the router and just reset it on my own. Like if I
Yeah.
knew, if I knew what the router what, you know what? I never thought of that. That's a good idea. I should bring a laptop with me next time, and then maybe I can gain access to the laptop. Sorry, to the
To the
router
router through
get
the
into the
laptop.
actual firmware settings and reset it because the if it's
Mm-hmm.
the one the one store I went into one time back in Jersey, they had a Linksys. And I know they had a
Oh,
Linksys because they never changed the SSID of it. It said Linksys WRT54G. And I was like, dude, you never changed the thing. I was like going, oh, I know how to get into this.
so like not even like the store name or
Yeah.
the store
Like,
name and location or oh, Linksys.
and it had the with it had the original default password on it. So I was able to get into the firmware. And I was
Oh
like,
no.
I was like, they never changed the password. It was like password or something like that. I was like, really?
Of course. I mean, but username was admin and the password was password.
Yeah. No, it was no, it was well the default for the WRT54G was admin, and you put an admin, and then the password was admin. Like nobody ever got into the firmware to update the firmware. So
They just said, "Look, it works. It's fine. Cool. Don't
yeah,
worry."
yeah.
Said it's fine. It works. It's fine. Don't touch it.
That was a problem when I used to go
Mm.
to um when I lived in Parsippany, I used to go to the GNC, right, the health food store, and
Okay.
the guys the guys I met Omar, like my friend Omar, who now was it he lives in Florida, but um he became um the GSM of the store, and he had this, the whole thing. He goes, I don't know anything about computers. I don't know anything about networking. I said, look, he goes, the with it, he's with it. He said the network here is horrible because people were always complaining when they got into the store. They had to use the GNC app and they had to go to, the router. So I'm looking at the router, and
Mm-hmm.
it was this old AT&T router, and it was horrible. It was like, I mean, it was, it wasn't even like G, like a wireless G. It was like a wireless,
Oh
it was like a
man.
wire. I think the most the wireless got up to was B.
Oh
And
god.
I was like, really? And I'm looking at this thing. It was big. It was, clumsy, it was bulky. I said, you know
Okay.
what? I came in one Christmas, Omar, and I said, look, I'm here to update your router. He goes, he was like, he goes, why? I said, dude, people are trying to use the app and they can't. I said, I come in here, I'm trying to use the app and I can't, and it sucks. I was like, the app only sucks because of the wireless.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, the boss can't see, or actually, he was the boss. He goes, I can't see the cameras. I was like, so I figured out the camera system.
Okay.
I figured out the wireless, and then I was able, because they were paying for static IP. They actually had Optimum, online.
Okay.
Sorry, they had Optimum. They were paying for 5 static IPs a month. That's a lot of money. That's
Yeah.
like 200 a month, maybe
Yeah.
300 a month for a business account for 5 static IPs.
And
And I
you're
was
looking
like,
at
you're not using any of them. You're not using any static IPs. So he's like, oh. So I found that out. I got them a brand new router. I set it up. I put the SSID as GNC. It was
right.
the SSID, not Linksys. We changed the password. We updated the firmware. We hooked it into the camera system. He was able to see the camera system on his phone. We found an
Mm-hmm.
app for the camera system thing, got all that done, and he was happy. And every time I went in, he gave me like this big discount because I used to get the Mileplex, the the protein powder, and he would
Okay.
always give me a big discount. And Christmas time came around, stuff like that, and it was good. And then Omar left, and some other guy came in, and gave him gave him all the the information,
Okay.
and he was happy with it. He was like going, "You set this up? Oh my God, I want to do this and I want to do that. And I want to put some cameras here." So I got kind of like a camera job out of it, which was pretty good. So I had to put some cameras to see you know,
Mm-hmm.
like the loading dock or whatever, or like the back door. And so, but man, I mean, I mean, they went from like the Stone Age to they they
They went.
they went
You took them basically from the Flintstones to the Jetsons in an
right,
afternoon.
right. They just didn't know. I mean, I mean, I can understand that, but I mean, if you want to make a sale, man, you're at.
It's like,
And
look
then
here, man.
once, like once people got onto the app, they were like, "This thing is so fast! I can't believe it's so fast!" And then I upgraded them to an N-band router. I got them the Asus, N-band router before I left. So then they were up to N, and I was like, "There you go, you got
Hey,
N-band, man."
all right. So
Yeah.
now you've got wireless. Now you've got
Nah,
Wi-Fi.
nah, yeah.
Now,
Now you got wireless. Yeah,
because
yeah,
that junk you had before, yeah, no.
yeah. I never thought, yeah, because like a lot of the corporate, I guess, like the supermarkets,
Mm-hmm.
they standardize everything, and I found that when I was, because was like um my friend Kane and I, Kane, like from CNS Computers, we go to different jobs now. We go to like the work market jobs, and we do certain jobs, and and we was it I don't know we went to one job. We had to be there at 5 o'clock in the morning. So
Okay.
that was that
Mm.
job. We had to be there, and it was there at 5. We had to set up. We had to set up all these computers, and I was like, okay. And then um, we we thought we had to set up the cradle point, which was basically it's a the crate the cradle point system. It's basically a backup wireless system for your business. You can use it. It um, you can use like it has 5G capability. So it has
Okay.
5G capability. You can take a SIM card, put a SIM card into this modem. It has two modems basically, so you could do one at 5G and one at LTE, and you can do two modems with two SIM cards, two with like two different carriers.
Mm-hmm.
So, but everything was set up for us. We didn't really have to do anything. It was for like students to go to a hotel and take these tests, these standardized tests in Pennsylvania, and we just had to set up the computers. When they standardized these things, some of them, like some computers, had the software. Or, well, actually, most computers had the software on them. Most computers did, and some of the computers did not. Maybe two or three didn't have the
Right. The
You know,
software on it. Yeah.
well, yeah, like the testing software that they would need to test. I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So take those computers, put them aside. Then they had, they had mice. You put the mice on the computer. You set the whole thing up, like you set the computer up, and that's all you have to do. It took
Okay.
us all of like 20 minutes to set it up. And I'm like, and I'm getting $100 to do this. I'm like, okay, dude,
Hey,
I
I'll
don't
take
care.
it. I'll take that 100.
Yeah, it was, 100, and then it was $100 to, go back. I guess when the testing was all done, to pack everything up, put it in like these cases that like it came with like these they look like those ones that that are used by like the military, these military cases, big, and they
Mm-hmm.
have like foam in them. You put all the computers back, you put all the mice back, you put all the power back, and then
Okay.
you get $100 for 20 minutes and you leave. It's just it.
Hey, you can't
Hey,
beat that. You can't
yeah,
beat that.
certain, like we haven't taken certain jobs because putting in like an access point, but they want you to have like a ladder. So they want you to have like a truck with a ladder where can actually use like a 20
Mm-hmm.
foot ladder to get to, and it would be for like some of the places would be like Macy's or something like that. If you go to like a mall, it would be
Okay.
like a mall in Pennsylvania, or it's wherever the job is. But it's something called work market. So it's basically a um, it's not really a search engine, but it's a marketplace for installers. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
going to install a computer or you're going to install a server at this place, they give you everything. They should just give you I mean, they basically give you everything. They give you the new server, they give you the IP address. It has to do this, it has to do that.
Okay.
You have to load the software, like the software is preloaded onto a hard drive. Take the hard drive, you push it into the server, you power up the server, you put it in the rack. And then you take the old server, you put a tag on it saying it's the old server, and you take a picture of it, your phone, you send it to Work Market, and then you get
Mm-hmm.
paid. And that's
Okay.
basically what the jobs are. They're just swapping out stuff. But some of the jobs are like you have to use investigative skills, and those are the jobs that are real pains in the butt. The they're pains in the butt because the money isn't there. Like you're not getting $50 an hour. You're getting like
Whatever you're getting.
like well, like whatever the budget is for the job.
Mm-hmm.
You
Okay.
some of the jobs are negotiable. You can negotiate with the person, say, well, your budget is only $125, and you're you know you're you're talking about like 2 days of work, for me, to do all the prep work.
Right.
I have to drill through the facade of the building to get to a certain point and then run the cable. $125 doesn't even cover, like
Yeah.
my time.
Yeah.
Not, like not just the gas to get there. It doesn't cover the time. Like, you have to like offer 500, and they'll say, no, I can get somebody to do it for 125. Fine. I'm out.
Okay.
You could just say, okay, I'm out. Then when you say you're out, that person will kind of look you up, like if you have a history of um, being able to do the job right the first time,
Right.
being very professional,
Mm-hmm.
getting paid for your work, then you get like a reputation in the industry, and you get a reputation on the site for being the best at what the best at what you do.
Yeah.
Then people go, oh, I want that guy, you know, and I'll pay him $1,000 for the day. You know, I mean, if you can get the job done in two
Mhm.
hours, you get $1,000. That's $500 an hour.
So yeah,
That
I mean,
yeah, that would be
and
cool.
even then,
That would be a good,
you definitely can't beat that.
yeah. So I mean, I did the one. I my um my friend Jeff Lefkowitz from oh my God, from the camera place. I went to go do this job, this camera job, and he said, "I want you to get paid what you're worth." He goes, "How much do you think you're worth?" And I said, I don't know, maybe 50 an hour. He goes, "No, no, 250 an hour." I was like, 250 an hour? Yeah,
Okay.
250 an hour. He goes, "I don't hire people who undervalue their work." I was like, "Jeff, I don't know what I'm going to encounter." He goes, "It may be as easy as sliding a hard drive into a slot and turning the damn thing on. It might even be that easy." And I was like, "Okay,
All
250 an
right.
hour."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Fine, dude, fine,
All
great."
right. I'll
Go to
take.
the place. I'm like, everything was already set up. All I had to do was connect like a network line, and I had to like crimp a network line. That's all I did. Crimp a network line, put it in. It's on the network. Turn it on. Check it all out. Got he paid me $375 an hour. I was there for 4 hours, and it was in New Jersey. I lived in Pennsylvania, and I got this check. I got this check like that day. Boom, done. I was like, wow. I was like,
Oh damn.
that I said that yeah. I said that's a good job.
Like right.
I was like, wow, yeah.
I need more jobs like that.
I need like a million more jobs like that, and I could retire. But yeah,
Yeah.
those guys are getting like like when I was when I applied for a job for ADT, which is the alarm
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
Those job those guys were making. I mean, well, it was just, like a standardized company, so um, you weren't going to make top dollar. You were going to make 25 an hour,
Okay.
which is okay. It's not fantastic, but I was like
Mm.
25 an hour. I mean, if I did if I did it freelance, I could probably get more. I could probably get like 50 an
Yeah.
hour, maybe 100 an hour. But Jeff was like 250 an hour. I was like, Jeff, I don't know if I'm that good. He goes, but if you say 50, they're gonna think that you're not that good. If you say 250, you're that good. They're gonna give you carte blanche. I was like, okay, two, 250.
Hey. Okay.
$1,000 the next day. I was like, okay, okay,
But I
good.
mean,
Need,
honestly, it makes sense.
yeah,
To not to undervalue yourself. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I
yeah.
used to do that with models, like when I used to, like build models and stuff. But just, you know, give me $2,000, $2,000. Yeah, same with
Mm-hmm.
same with computers. Computers are the same way. You can, I mean, you can actually undervalue your time, undervalue yourself. But
Yeah. And a lot of times with dealing with computers, that just like you said, you don't know what you're dealing with. It could
oh,
be something just as simple as just plugging something in and pushing a power button, or completely building it from scratch.
oh, yeah,
Sometimes you don't know what you're going to. So, and I
yeah,
understand, you don't want to charge 250 an hour And all you have to do is just plug something in and then push a button. Because it feels like hey, I'm just doing the same shit you could do. I mean, it's not.
It's like
This is not
um,
rocket science. I mean, it's not.
it's like in the scene, Eddie Murphy, that Coming to America when he goes to the barber shop and he takes the
Yeah,
braid off and they cut it off. And they go, okay, that'll be $20. And it's like
yeah.
$20. You just
And the only thing he did was just sit. Didn't said nothing on the side, nothing on top, not in. Nope. Snip. That'd be
just
$25.
there.
I I could have done that in the house.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife the other day, and she said, well, I forget what we were talking about. We are talking about something. I was uh, I had to fix something, and she goes, don't be like you were when you worked at Tandy Service, with the computers. Don't take the whole computer apart and then find out that you have 12 screws extra. And I'm like, yeah, but you know what? The computer worked better with the 12 screws that were missing from the computer.
So I don't know what those 12 screws did, but you know what? They screwed something up.
It made contact with something that, shouldn't have made contact with, but hey, it works faster now.
It works better now.
Yeah, I used to have that. I I learned under um I learned under my friend John at Computer City. What he used to do was he used to have he had a pad. He had kind of like a um, he would take like painter's tape and put it on to um like a card, like a piece of cardboard. And I said, what are the painter's tape for? And he goes, every time you take a screw from a location on a laptop, you put it on the pad on that location. And then with it, and he
Okay.
goes, the screws you don't lose the screws. You're turning them head down or like face down onto the
Okay.
tape, and it's holding it in there. So he goes, so when you go to put it back, when you go put that screw back, that screw went to that location,
Mm-hmm.
on like in the computer.
Right.
And he goes, at a certain time, you don't need the tape anymore. You're just gonna know it in your mind. I was like going, but but you don't know the techs around here. The techs, they're with it, their knuckles scrape on the ground. They take things
Mm-hmm.
and they throw them all over the place. He goes, well, that's why you would want to do the thing with the tapes. And I would always do that. I always put the stuff with the tape. And they were like, why are you doing that? I was like going, because when you start moving stuff, all the screws, you don't know
Mm-hmm.
which screw went to which
Yeah.
area, on the laptop, especially if you're taking, you know, like a computer like this apart, like a laptop apart.
Oh
You have those
yeah.
very, very tiny screws. You have Loctite on them. Some are
Mm-hmm.
blue, some are red, the Loctite, but some of the thinner screws are very small screws, but have like a larger head on them and not a lot of thread on them.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones that usually go into like battery compartments.
Yeah.
You know, usually, the longer screws would hold a keyboard on from the underside, of
Mm-hmm.
the thing. And I just remember that. I remember just getting the tape. I had this big roll of tape at work. You take the tape and put it down and put all the screws down, and it worked. It was a good thing
Hey.
until until I found the magnets. I found this magnetic pad, and I could put my screws on the magnetic pad, which was
Oh,
actually pretty cool. Yeah, you put little
that was
screws on there,
that.
and
That sounds
yeah,
convenient.
yeah. So because
Mm.
I could take the magnetic because I had a piece of metal or I had a metal piece on the wall and just take it and put it right on the wall, and I could keep it there. And I had,
Okay.
because I mean, I'd work on uh, five, 5 or 6 laptops in a day. Um, and then we'd have those horrible Hewlett Packard systems, the HP. Oh no, the the compact compact computer towers. I hated those things. Those
Uh,
things hated me. They just like ate up my fingers every time. I'd always get a cut on my finger. Those things had the sharpest metal edges in the industry. Like they never
Never tried to kind of
ground them down or clean them
nothing.
up. It was just boom, boom, boom. And you start taking them apart and like going and you have all these band-aids on your hand by the time you left the damn shop. And I bled more
Yeah.
with those computers
Oh yeah.
than anything else.
Oh my God. So we're coming close to the end of the show, man. Coming close to
And it
the
was
end of the
Babylon George
show.
again. Did it again. Sorry about that.
No, we got coming up next week. We've got TKE tonight with Jeff Kennedy at
Actually,
around
we do
8.
not have TKE tonight.
No,
Jeff will
not
be
tonight.
at the polls tonight for election day
Ah, so
in Pencil. So no
so
TKE
no
tonight.
TKE
We have
tonight. So
conversations with T Nathan at 11.
just conversations with T Nathan at 11, and we'll start the day off tomorrow, bright and early, with the sound of coffee with Thomas.
Yep.
So this show has been brought to you in part by cns-computers.com, servicing the Stroudsburg and East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania area. Yeah. You went to the wrong site, didn't you? Got something you downloaded and you shouldn't have downloaded? Go on down and take it down to them. They'll get you all squared away. Remove all viruses, get you all squared away, take all the viruses, worms, rats, whatever is in there. They will get all rid of you, you know. Build you something from scratch, you know. They'll get you taken care of. They'll get you taken care of. Tell them George sent you. They may give you a discount. They may not. Who knows? But try it anyways. But go on down to cns-computers.com and get your computer fixed today.
One thing that CNS does have, they have e-waste recycling. So
And
if you have any
E?
type of hard drives you want to get rid of or anything like that, Kane just bought this new. It's a hard drive shredder. You take hard drives and throw them in there. It'll shred it into little pieces. So he has a thing where if you want to destroy data on a hard drive, if you're like a business or something like that, he can actually take pictures of it. He'll send you the pictures. You give him the hard drive. He'll shred the whole hard drive. So you don't have to wipe it. You just shred it.
Yeah,
So
so
that's the new.
take your old hard drives down there and give them some satisfaction of seeing your data being destroyed. Oh, yeah. This is all right, though, man. This is all right. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing the show, man. But yeah, everybody, again, tune in tonight. Conversations with T. Nathan. And then in the morning, we'll start it off with The Sound of Coffee with Thomas the Villain Bishop. So